Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something maybe a little unexpected, a part of the global economy you might not think about much, but, well, it's crucial for our vision, our eye health. We're looking at the global keratomes market.
Keratomes. Sounds technical, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, they're these super precise surgical tools, blades, instruments.
Right. Used in delicate eye surgeries, think LASIK, even some cataract procedures, that kind of thing. Essential tools.
Exactly. And we've got this detailed market analysis from cognitive market research. So our goal today is really to unpack it, look at the key insights, the growth figures, which are pretty surprising, and how things look region by region.
Yeah, sort of help you get up to speed, coordinate on this, well, niche but really impactful market. Helps us all see, literally.
Right. So let's maybe start with the big picture numbers.
Sounds good. Let's lay the groundwork.
Okay, so the global market. Back in 2021, it pulled in sales revenue of nearly $1.4 billion, so $1,395.86 million to be precise.
Which is already significant, right? But what's really fascinating here isn't just that starting point. It's where it's headed. That almost $1.4 billion. It's projected to hit about $1.85 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then, get this, really jumps to over $3.25 billion by 2033. That's $3,251.17 million.
Wow. Okay, that's a big leap over the next decade or so.
It is. It works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 7.3% over that forecast period.
So the big question then is, why? What's driving that kind of consistent, healthy growth?
Exactly. Especially in such a specialized field.
Well, that's where we can connect the dots back to the research. It points to basically three main drivers. First, you've got more people dealing with refractive disorders.
Right, your common vision issues. Nearsightedness, farsightedness, astigmatism. Things ASIC can often correct.
So just more need for correction beyond glasses or contacts.
Precisely. And second, there's just, well, an overly growth in ophthalmic surgeries happening globally. More procedures being done.
Okay, makes sense. And the third?
Technology. This is key. Continuous advancements in the eye care devices themselves. The keratomes get better, safer, more precise.
Which probably makes the surgeries more effective and maybe even more accessible.
That's the idea, yeah.
Yeah.
All these factors together create this really strong global demand we're seeing in the numbers.
Okay, got it. So let's unpack how this growth looks region by region, starting with North America. It's usually a big player.
Absolutely. A very significant market. So North America, back in 2021, posted just over $402 million.
Okay.
By 2025, that's expected to be around $527 million. And looking out to 2033, it's projected to hit almost $910.3 million.
So still growing strongly then.
Definitely. It's growing at a JGR of 7.063%. Solid growth for a pretty mature market.
And I assume the U.S. is the main driver there.
Oh, absolutely. The U.S. leads significantly. It was over $334 million in 2021.
Right.
Climbs to about $438 million in 2025 and projected to reach almost $753 million by 2033.
In Canada.
Canada followed. Started at about $47 million in 2021, expected to hit $60.6 million in 2025, and then over $101.9 million by 2033. Consistent growth there, too.
Okay, but you mentioned something surprising in North America.
Yeah, this stood out to me. Mexico. Now, it starts smaller, right? About $20.5 million in 2021. But look at the projection. Nearly $29 million by 2025, and then jumping to over $55.5 million by 2033.
That does sound like faster growth.
It is. The CAGR there is 8.458%. That's notably higher than the U.S. or Canada.
Interesting. Any thoughts on why?
Well, it could be a few things. Maybe expanding healthcare access, a growing middle class seeking these procedures, maybe even medical tourism playing a role. But it definitely signals really strong emerging demand within the region.
Fascinating. Okay, let's pivot then. What about Europe? You mentioned it had the highest sales back in 2021.
That's right. Europe actually led the pack initially, recording over $460 million in 2021.
And the projections?
Still very strong. Expected to reach about $603 million in 2025, and then cross the billion mark to hit $1.05 billion by 2033.
And the growth rate there?
The CAGR for Europe overall is 7.176%, so very much in line with North America. Healthy growth.
Any standout countries in Europe?
Yeah, a few key players. Germany, significant, started around $66 million, projected to hit nearly $143 million by 2033.
Okay.
The UK, France, Italy, Spain, all showing solid growth, reaching figures between $66 million and $124 million by 2033. Russia is one to watch, though. It started quite high, over $115 million in 2021, and shows a really strong upward trend, projected over $257 million by 2033.
Wow, so Russia's market is expanding quite rapidly within Europe.
It seems so, yeah. And then you have smaller but still important contributors like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg, all showing steady increases.
Now, you highlighted something particularly interesting in the European data earlier.
Ah, yes. The rest of Europe category. So this lumps together the countries not individually listed.
That's right.
And this segment is, well, it's surging. It went from just under $60 million in 2021
Right.
to a projected $95 million in 2025. And then a huge leap to $193 million by 2033.
Get out. What's the CAGR on that?
It's the highest in the region by a fair bit, 9.237%.
Wow. So what does that suggest? Growth outside the major economies is accelerating.
Exactly. It could mean broader adoption in smaller nations, maybe increased investment in advanced eye care across the board, or perhaps the bigger markets are maturing slightly, pushing more growth into these other areas. It's a really strong signal.
Very interesting. Okay, let's shift focus now. How about the Asia-Pacific market, often a high-growth region?
Absolutely. Asia-Pacific is a real powerhouse here. Generated over $371 million back in 2021.
And looking ahead.
Projected to hit nearly $500 million. $499.5 million in 2025, and then soar to over $900 million by 2033. That's $903.8 million.
Okay, so almost tripling from 2021. What's the growth rate?
The CAGR is strong, 7.692%, slightly higher than North America or Europe overall.
And leading the charge there, I imagine, is China.
No surprise there. China leads the region, yeah. Started at $142.5 million in 2021, expected to reach over $193 million in 2025, and then a massive $353 million by 2033. Huge market, huge growth.
Makes sense. What about other key players in Asia-Pacific?
Japan is significant, starting at $43 million, projected to cross $100 million by 2033. India also shows very strong growth, started near $65 million, expected to hit almost $163 million.
Yeah.
South Korea, too, from $22 million up to nearly $49 million. Australia, Singapore, they're smaller but growing steadily. And then you have Southeast Asia as a whole contributing significantly, moving from about $28 million towards $63 million. So really widespread growth across the Asia-Pacific region.
Definitely. Lots of dynamic markets contributing to that overall strong performance.
All right, let's move south, South America. You hinted its profile might be a bit different.
Yeah, the growth trajectory is a little gentler, let's say. The market reached about $61.4 million in 2021.
Projected to increase to $76 million in 2025, and then reach around $123.5 million by 2033.
So still doubling over the period, roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
Yep.
But the CAGR is 6.241%, which is healthy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it is the lowest among the major regions we've looked at.
Right. And within South America, Brazil leads.
Brazil leads, yes.
Yes.
Started around $25 million, expected to hit over $51 million by 2033.
Okay.
Argentina follows, moving from just under $10 million towards $19 million. Colombia, Peru, Chile, all showing consistent, albeit slower, growth compared to, say, Asia-Pacific.
Any thoughts on why the growth might be a bit slower there? It could be related to factors like the pace of healthcare infrastructure development, economic conditions, maybe accessibility or affordability of these advanced procedures compared to other regions. Still positive growth, just a different pace.
Understood. Okay, how about the Middle East? You mentioned momentum there.
Yeah, the Middle East is showing some really strong momentum. Sales were about $60 million in 2021.
But they're forecasted to grow to $85 million in 2025, and then jump quite significantly to over $156 million by 2033.
Okay, that's a pretty steep climb. What's the CAGR?
It's one of the highest, actually, 7.872%. Really robust growth.
Interesting. Who are the leaders there?
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE are all major players. Saudi Arabia moving from $11.5 million towards $31 million, Turkey from $13 million to over $33 million, and the UAE from about $10.5 million up to $28.5 million.
So strong growth across those key economies.
Definitely. And Egypt and Qatar also showing good increases. Plus, the rest of Middle East category has a very strong CAGR too, over 8%.
So similar to the rest of Europe, suggesting broad-based growth?
Exactly. It points towards significant investment in healthcare, maybe as part of economic diversification, and a real push for adopting advanced medical tech across the entire region.
Okay, one more region to cover, Africa, another emerging area, right?
Yes, and showing significant potential. The African market grew from about $40.5 million in 2021.
And the forecast?
Expected to reach nearly $59 million in 2025, and then push past $107 million by 2033.
What's the growth rate looking like there?
Very strong. The CAGR is 7.772%, again, one of the higher regional growth rates.
And key countries within Africa?
South Africa is a major contributor, started over $17 million, projected to hit nearly $45 million by 2033.
Okay.
Nigeria also shows considerable growth, moving from about $7.7 million towards almost $21 million. And the rest of Africa segment is also growing robustly, indicating increasing access and demand across other parts of the continent, too.
So putting it all together then, what's the main takeaway from all these numbers?
Well, the big picture is pretty clear. The global keratomes market is experiencing really healthy, sustained growth across the board. Every single region is expanding.
And it really highlights how that increasing demand for eye surgery is driven by those common vision problems we talked about.
Right, the refractive disorder.
Combined with the constant innovation in the actual devices.
Yeah, tech advancements.
This is really shaping this specific but, vital corner of medtech.
Absolutely. Those core drivers, rising refractive issues, more surgeries being performed, better technology, they're fueling demand everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just in the established markets like North America and Europe, which are still growing nicely,
Right.
but also really significantly in those dynamic emerging markets. We saw it in Asia Pacific, the Middle East, Africa, even the faster growth pockets like Mexico.
It paints a really global picture of advancing eye care.
It really does.
So maybe a final thought to leave our listeners with. You look at these numbers, this global expansion for a specialized tool like a keratome. What might this tell us, bigger picture, about the future of global eye health?
Yeah.
And maybe how continued advancements, even in these niche devices, could really reshape our ability to tackle widespread vision problems, across all sorts of different populations and economies in the coming decades.
That's a great question to ponder. How far can this technology reach, and what difference can it make globally? It's certainly an evolving landscape. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something pretty specialized but really fascinating, the Global Keratomes Market. Now, if that term's new to you, basically, a keratome is this super precise, absolutely vital tool used in eye surgery. Think corneal procedures. They're key. So our mission today, we're digging into this really detailed market report, our source material, to pull out the core insights. We want to understand what's really driving the, frankly, surprising growth in this market, and what challenges it's facing, plus the cutting-edge trends that are genuinely reshaping how we approach vision care.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how this area, surgical tools, which sounds quite niche, right? It actually mirrors these huge global shifts in health and technology. It's like a small window into bigger changes.
Okay, let's get into it then. So this report we have paints a picture of, well, explosive growth. The numbers are pretty stark, valued around, USD 1.2 billion in 2024, and projected to hit USD 2.5 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR, compound annual growth rate of 9.5%.
That's really significant growth. More than just numbers. It shows a real shift happening.
Exactly. So the big question is, what's actually fueling this expansion? Let's start with the first major driver.
Okay. Well, the most basic factor really is just there's more demand for eye procedures. Simple as that. And why? It's mostly down to the rising number of cases of things like cataracts, the clouding of the lens, also keratoconus, where the cornea thins, and just common refractive errors causing blurry vision. And fundamentally, as the world's population gets older, well, more people need these kinds of corrective surgeries, cataract surgery too.
Right, and our source material points out that surgeons, healthcare providers, they're increasingly leaning towards keratomes, especially the mechanical microkeratomes. Why? Because they offer really great precision and safety.
Reliability.
Yeah, reliability. For procedures that are in high demand, like LASIK, that common laser eye surgery,
Right.
and also for central corneal transplants. So as the number of surgeries goes up, these tools just become standard kit.
Absolutely. A staple.
So, okay, demand is up. But what about the tools themselves? That brings us to the second big driver, which is some pretty amazing technological innovation.
Oh, the advancements here are genuinely remarkable. I mean, the latest keratomes, they include femtosecond laser-assisted systems. These use incredibly short, precise laser pulses instead of a physical blade. Think unmatched accuracy.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're also seeing blades you can customize for depth, ultra-thin disposable ones, and even devices with smart sensors built in, giving surgeons real-time imaging and feedback during the procedure.
So these aren't just fancy gadgets then. You're saying they offer real practical benefits. for patients and surgeons.
Absolutely. No, these aren't just futuristic ideas. They give you better incision accuracy, tangibly lower surgical risks, and importantly, shorter recovery times for patients. And the report shows manufacturers are pouring money into R&D to stay ahead. That investment cycle is really what's driving this innovation forward.
Makes sense. Innovation fuels growth. So we've got demand, we've got better tech. But where is this growth happening? Geography is always a factor. What's the third driver?
Yeah, location matters. If you look at the bigger picture, there's really strong growth across the Asia-Pacific region. Countries like China, India, they're really leading the way there.
Why is that?
It's a mix of things, really. Stronger healthcare infrastructure being built out, insurance coverage expanding so more people can actually afford procedures, and just generally greater public awareness about eye health and the treatments available.
And it's interesting, the source notes that disposable keratomes are becoming particularly popular in these areas.
Hygiene.
Exactly. The hygiene benefits.
Yeah.
Lower infection risk, which is obviously critical.
Always.
And while Asia Pacific is booming, it's not like the established markets are shrinking. North America, Europe, they're still very lucrative.
Oh, definitely. High surgical volumes there. And surgeons often prefer the premium high-tech devices.
Okay, so it sounds like a booming market overall. But there are always bumps in the road, right? Restraints. What's holding back even faster growth?
Right, challenges exist. One of the main ones, cost. Simple as that. These really advanced systems, like the femtosecond laser ones, the ultra-thin blades, yes, they perform brilliantly, but they carry a hefty price tag. And that cost, it really limits how widely they can be adopted, especially in healthcare systems that are very price sensitive, or think about smaller outpatient clinics, surgical centers. Their budgets are often much tighter.
Yeah, that cost barrier is real. And another major issue highlighted is regulation. The approval process.
Complex.
Very. These devices need strict certifications. FDA clearance in the States, CE marking in Europe, CDSQO in India. You know, the drill.
Keepers. Important ones, but still.
Exactly. The report says these processes can really slow down product launches, especially if it's something truly new and innovation.
Right. Leads to slower time to market, higher costs just to comply.
And then you have different rules in different regions adding another layer of complexity. It's a tangle.
It really is. And it also brings up a point for the clinicians themselves. Despite all the tech improvements, keratome surgery still carries some risks. They're rare, but they exist.
Like what specifically?
Well, things like flap irregularities, maybe the corneal flap created doesn't sit perfectly, or epithelial damage harming the surface layer. And like any surgery, there's always a baseline risk of infection. Now, these risks might lead some surgeons, especially in maybe higher risk patient cases, to prefer completely bladeless options, like the full laser platforms.
Okay, so cost, regulation, and those inherent, though rare, surgical risks. Got it. Let's shift now to the trends. What's new and exciting? Where's the market heading?
Well, one really big trend building on that safety point is the clear shift towards disposable and ultra-thin keratomes. There's just this growing focus on preventing cross-contamination, so sterile, single-use blades are in high demand. Yeah, they mean cleaner incisions, lower infection risk. You see this especially in those ambulatory surgery centers we mentioned, and in emerging markets, and this demand is actually pushing innovation in disposable blade tech itself.
Interesting. And following on from innovation, what about these hybrid or laser-assisted platforms you mentioned earlier?
Yes, that's another major trend. The rise of these systems. Femtosecond lasers, devices with smart sensors integrated, they're becoming more popular because they offer that superior accuracy. And crucially, real-time digital feedback right there for the surgeon. It's like having GPS during the procedure.
Yeah, good analogy.
And our source highlights that these sort of high-end solutions, they're particularly popular in the big surgical centers. Places really focus on delivering those premium patient outcomes. It's part of a bigger shift towards, digitizing surgery, precision medicine.
And you mentioned ambulatory surgical centers, ASCs. What's the trend there?
Right, the ASCs. What's fascinating is how they're laser-focused on efficiency. Getting procedures done well, but also quickly and cost-effectively in an outpatient setting.
So they need tools that fit that model.
Exactly. They're increasingly turning to keratomes that are fast, safe, and don't need tons of complex infrastructure. Those single-use compact instruments, they're perfect for the ASC workflow. And this actually helps broaden access to quality vision care, without needing a full hospital setup for every procedure.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. What's the big takeaway for you, our listener? This keratomes market.
Yeah.
It's not just ticking along, it's really transforming.
Yeah.
Driven by, well, more people needing eye care as populations age, definitely smarter tech, and these shifts in how healthcare gets delivered, making it more efficient, more accessible.
Yeah, and even with those hurdles, we talked about the cost, the regulations, other tech competing, the source material is pretty clear. Innovation is really the engine here, and that's setting the stage for more growth globally and hopefully even better results for patients down the line.
It really is amazing when you step back and see how one specialized tool, the keratome, links up to so many big global themes.
Hmm.
Aging populations, growing health awareness, the constant push of technology, and just how healthcare itself is changing. It underlines how critical these tiny, precise instruments actually are in shaping the future of sight for millions.
Absolutely. And maybe final thought to leave you with, think about how these small, precise tools aren't just impacting individual eyesight. That's huge, of course, but collectively they're part of this global shift towards eye care that's more available and higher quality for potentially everyone. So the question is, what happens next? As we keep refining this incredibly precise technology, what new possibilities will that unlock for how we see the world? Quite literally.